This is Money Mind's Dollars and Cents segment on CNA 938. I'm Chu Wee Lin with Stanley Leong. In the wake of International Women's Day, we're exploring women's relationship with money. Data from 2018 shows that here in Singapore, women earn about 6% less than men doing similar work. On top of that, women are more likely to have to face career interruptions as the burden of caregiving tends to rest on their shoulders. And this results in an even wider gender pay gap. And considering that women usually live longer than men, this means they are likely to have more years of living expenses, healthcare, and possibly long-term care costs, but less money to pay for it.
So we're still interested in seeing how women can achieve financial security and also a worry-free retirement. Time to get some tips from our guest today, and she is Karen Tang, Certified Financial Planner and Senior Financial Services Consultant, joining us. And along the way, if you've got any questions for her as well, we invite you to be part of our program by calling through or texting us those numbers to be informed in just a while. But right now, a warm welcome, Karen. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to both of you, and thank you for having me on Money Mind.
We are most privileged. Thank you for your time, Karen. Now, Karen, from your interactions with the clients that you've served, would you say it's a myth that men are more financially literate than women? Well, speaking for myself, I don't consider myself literate at all when it comes to money, but maybe on this program I am getting more literate.
Well, Stanley, the perception is that men are at handling money than women are. Okay, and this is probably due to the fact that traditionally a woman's role in a family is to pay attention to immediate matters of the home and family. You know, if you like, she's mother, caretaker, chef, chauffeur, basically like a general manager all rolled into one.
Yep, agree.
And, you know, with very little time for herself after a busy day, the last thing on her mind is to, you know, manage her own personal finances. And that's why it's often left to the male figure in the family to do it for her.
Well, a recent study by a major local bank also showed that 60% of women have investments. That's compared with 75% of men. Is that what you have found as well? When it comes to investing, women are also more conservative than men?
Yes, that's true to some extent, William. Women tend to be more conservative in their investment outlook and even in their risk appetite. And therefore, they tend to be a little bit safer in terms of investing and choosing to select products that gives them capital guarantee and certain returns that can be sure of in the future. So they tend to take a step back than men when it comes to investing.
So I'm getting a sense that being less of a risk taker is not exactly a good thing. Is that how I'm reading this?
Yes, it can have long-term implications, Stanley. We all know that time is your friend when it comes to growing money and for compounding to work. And it is only through investing that you can actually see that kind of compounding growth. Just by leaving your money in a simple bank account is not going to really help you with retirement at all. So I think women out there need to start to learn and take an interest in investing and take the first step.
Right. So what tips do you have for women out there to take control of their financial situation?
Well, women, I have 5 strategies or habits, if you like, which women can use to boost their money confidence and take control of their finances. And number 1 would be to make financial literacy a priority in life. I think that is so very important. With our busy lifestyles, that is often, left as the last thing on the list, the to-do list. So I think making a priority is very important. And the number 2 strategy is this: to understand their current finances well. And that is to know thyself, meaning to know your numbers, to know your financial ratios, the projections that's needed for your retirement, including inflation, which is very important, and as well as understanding various possible scenarios that could happen. For example, like a medical condition that arises unexpectedly or when there are changes in your job. So that's strategy number 2. And the third one that I would say is that women, we must have realistic goals for our future. so that we know how much we need to set aside for that. And last but not the least, seek professional, unbiased help so that you can have an action plan created and implemented for you, and to do a review regularly with a qualified expert. So those are my 5 tips for women to take control of their finances.
Okay, so once again, a recap: make financial literacy priority in life, understand current finances well, understand scenarios that can happen, have realistic goals, and also seek professional unbiased help and do regular reviews. I hope I got that all
yes,
right.
Great, yes.
All right, I keyed it in my phone. I'm taking notes here.
That's great.
So, what are some common financial mistakes that women make?
Yes, I find that a lot also in my course of work when helping women with their financial plan. So there are many mistakes, but these are the top 5 that I come across very often. Mistake number 1, if you are disinterested in taking care of your finances. Mistake number 2, if you don't ask for help or seek professional advice. Number 3, if you save too little or too late for retirement. Mistake number 4, if you don't have a budget and you do not keep track of your spending. And the 5th mistake is this: if you don't take into account longevity in your financial planning.
Okay. Now, here's the situation. What if the lady in a household, in a marriage, has not been the breadwinner or has not been working, right? Solely depending on the husband to bring in the bread, bacon, whatever that you like to call it. How would that lady then broach the idea to that spouse to say, if I hadn't started earlier, Can I maybe seek more money so I could set aside more money for finances and all? How does she broach the whole topic if this has not been something that's been tackled or discussed before with the husband?
I think, you know what, Stanley, she has to know, first of all, she knows that it is important. And I think she has to be very open and to share with her spouse the implications if certain actions are not taken. For example, many people think that housewives do not need protection at all, right? And they feel that just because she's in the home, she's taking care of the kids and lessons of the house, there is no need for insurance. But that's not true at all, and it's so important. What if something happens to her? The husband will have to be digging into his savings to take care of the unexpected crisis. So there can be a financial calamity if, there's no protection, no safety net, I would say.
But what if the husband were to say, "Oh, don't worry, dear, I've got it all covered. You don't need a separate account. You don't need this and you don't need that. Leave it all up to me." But at the same time, she should also be aware that the husband, I believe that statement comes back to mind again, that the man isn't your financial plan.
Sorry, Stanley, what did you say? The man
isn't the lady's financial plan, that she also has to, have her own separate accounts and separate protection, like you say.
Yes, I know it's not easy for someone who is not in the workforce to convince the spouse that something needs to be done for her.
Yep.
I think it's not just an overnight thing. It has to be discussed. It has to be talked about openly and very honestly. The husband has to think about, or rather the wife would have to share with the husband, what if this were to happen to me? What if, and what would your response be? How is our family going to be if I'm not around? How is the family going to be if I have a long-term disease, etc.? So the woman would have to start the husband thinking along that line. It is not I would say it will take probably a few conversations.
And it's got to be, I suppose, a very open, trusting kind of conversation,
and,
right?
And the husband also must want to listen.
Yep.
Right. And Karen, you talked about the need for a safety net. Would that safety net come in the form of an insurance policy or maybe an emergency fund? What would you advise?
Very rightly said, William. Insurance, it's, as they say, in the right amount, is the best investment. And when you need money the most, that's when insurance comes into play. And I have personally handed some checks to clients who have critical illnesses, and they were so glad that they had that sum of money in their hand. So insurance is number one because you have to take care of your protection first before looking into savings. The emergency fund is fundamental in any financial plan. So, a 6 to 8 months worth of expenses should be there always.
This is Money Mind's Dollars and Cents segment, and we are speaking with Karen Tang, certified financial planner and senior financial services consultant. If you have any questions for her with regard to financial literacy or financial fitness, do get in touch. You can call us at 669-11938 or text us at 963-11938. Well, you gave those tips on how to take control of their financial situation earlier, Karen, and top on your list was to make financial literacy a priority. How can women get educated on managing their finances?
There are, with access to the internet, I'm sure there are short online courses that women can look for and go through the entire course. Or the next best thing I would say, and which is more accessible and easier to do, is to engage a professional expert, a certified financial planner that can help you that is interested to help educate you about the entire financial planning process.
You also mentioned seek professional, unbiased help. I want to zoom in on the unbiased bit to someone who is unfamiliar with whether one that you're talking to is biased or unbiased. How do you make that decision and that judgment?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, bias means objective, and that would mean that the person helping you would be representing not just a single company's products. It's as simple as that. And when you have choices in the same product category, the professional would be able to look at what's best in your interest based on the benefits per dollar that you're paying, and select the most cost-effective and best-of-breed solutions for the client. So unbiased means objective and taking into consideration your needs. Your needs must come first. So that is what I would think unbiased is.
And Karen, what advice would you have for women with regard to planning for their retirement?
Right. Retirement is a big word, and first and foremost, women need to be realistic about their retirement lifestyle. And that is very important because retirement, after all, is the longest holiday that you'll ever have, yeah?
Hopefully we'll still be in good health also during that period.
Yes, of course. And just think about the things that, they've always wanted to do, the travels, grandchildren, trees, etc. Now, all these take money. So women need to understand what is their golden number, and this number is their retirement nest egg. How much would that cost them? Yeah. And the second advice is that they need to close the gaps in their protection without overspending on financial products. And here I'm referring to vital insurance coverage like for your critical illness, your health insurance, and your long-term care cover. And the third piece of advice I have for ladies is this. After taking care of protection, they must start investing their savings. I think the very first question was that is women lagging behind men in investing? Yes. So women need to understand that money placed in a simple bank account is not going to help them with their retirement. So they need to beat inflation. They need to invest in a diversified portfolio, and the portfolio should have these three golden attributes. Number one, liquidity. Number two, diversification across asset classes. And the third quality is the valuation of each asset. So if they have a diversified portfolio and a long-term view, then I would say that they are pretty much on the way to seeing some good results at the end of the day.
Okay, wow. You've really shared with us many good points that women can sit up and take note of. And even men, I think, that, some of the very useful pointers that you have disclosed, Karen. What are your final thoughts for women? I mean, coming up, of course, this week being International Women's Day and the week that we are recognizing as well. What other advice would you leave listeners, especially our women tuned in today?
We need not be disempowered because we are not financial illiterate, because financial literacy can be learned if you put your minds and hearts to it. And the last thing I want to leave this conversation is this. A good financial plan for your life is a lot like a recipe. And I think many women can identify with recipes, right? So think about how a recipe is a basic guideline that outlines the tools, the ingredients, the actions, and the time necessary to achieve the desired end result. So a financial plan is very much the same. So I hope women will take the initiative to learn more, to be educated, and to take their first steps. I know taking first steps may not be the easiest, and financial planning is not a 1,000-mile journey. So I hope women will be empowered doing that.
Certainly food for thought there. Thank you very much for those words of advice. We were hearing from Karen Tang, who is Certified Financial Planner and Senior Financial Services Consultant. For more guidance from Karen, you can visit her website at karentang.sg.
Before making any decisions based on the information in our program, please consult your own financial advisors to take into account your investment objectives, financial situation, and individual needs.
If you are a working Singaporean woman, call me today for professional financial guidance that will help you achieve your goals.